So who put the lights out?
One video game that I can, and have, come back to time and time again is the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. At the time, it was such an amazing breakthrough in gameplay, with 4 simultaneous players, not to mention bright graphics, and the hottest license around. The game still holds up thanks to these 3 key features, a true future-proofing without realizing it. TMNT Arcade is a topic I have wanted to come to for a while, and has been often requested. Though unlike episodes of the past that compared TV and game, Monster Strike, Keith Courage, Magical Hat, and all the rest, I was never quite sure how to handle the Ninja Turtles. Nobody wants to hear an old man gush over something made for kids from the 1980s, but the idea started to come together not too long ago when I discovered the Cowabunga Collection. I was able to digest all of the games from the golden era all at once and take stock of how this series of games were handled in the moment. That led me to go back and revisit the animated series, which I, like many of you, watched religiously in the early days. I didn't rewatch the entire run, just the original 5-part miniseries that started it all. Watching these episodes alongside playing the arcade game and others led me to see connections between the game and show that somehow I never put together until now. I guess after 40-some years, you just reach a certain level of clarity. I can't honestly recall when I first heard of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The original comic series began in 1983 and I knew nothing about it. I'm not going to pretend that I did. I think we all got our first taste of Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael in the animated series, with the accompanying line of toys and video games. I do recall around the time of the first movie, the local newspaper was running a daily series. So by 1990 you had the Turtles in every medium. We were all there for Turtlemania, but everything happened like a tidal wave, where one day this thing didn't exist in everyone's lives, and the next day it suddenly did and was everywhere. Sometimes one's memories can't create the perfect picture. When I went to check out certain dates and help construct some order to my thoughts, I noticed that the original 5 episodes first aired in December 1987. Then there was a huge gap in 1988 for almost a year, which gave way to 13 more episodes, followed by another long gap in 1989, after which 47 more episodes were made, bringing the grand total to 65, the magic number for daytime syndication. 5 days a week for 13 weeks. Each episode could air 4 times a year. But was there really a time when the same 5 episodes reran over and over for a year? It must have been weekly or some kind of special. I know the first 5 were released on VHS because I had them. In the early days of 1989, Nintendo Power announced that Konami, under the Ultra Games label, was bringing TMNT home to the NES. I clearly remember getting the TMNT NES game on the day it came out, in June of 1989. The nearby town center that recently opened had a massive toy store, Children's Palace. I happened to be there when the game counter announced that a special shipment had just arrived. Ninja Turtles! Everyone lined up. About 30 copies were sold, and then they were all gone. That's just how things were done in those days. I still couldn't find Zelda 2 to save my life, but I was lucky enough to go home with the new TMNT. First, on day 1. Lucky? Well, yeah, I guess. My mom was nice enough to shell out, no pun intended, $50 and wait in line for an hour to get a game others would kill for. But the game felt a little flat. It was overly complicated, very difficult, with plain graphics and lots of nondescript enemies. Recognizable elements were there. Shredder, the Turtle Van, Bebop and Rocksteady, but something was off. All the ingredients were correct, but the recipe was not. I tried to enjoy it, and yes, it was exciting at first, but that soon faded. I never finished the game, and had no desire to try. Sorry, Mom. It wasn't long after, on another trip to the town center, that I came across a new arcade game, Ninja Turtles. No way! It plays the theme song with vocals? The graphics look exactly like the show? 4 players at once? This is incredible! Every single quarter that I came across henceforth went into that game, which was everywhere. Even in my small Rust Belt suburb, word spread like wildfire. TMNT Arcade truly was one of the best games ever made up to that point, leading Konami to export that format to The Simpsons, X-Men, and others down the line. A part of me couldn't help but wonder, why? Why come this wasn't the NES game all along? Sure, you could never put this perfectly on the NES, but why not something similar? How could the same company create two games based on the same thing at the same time that were so dissimilar? Konami must have read the hate mail, because it didn't take more than a year for TMNT2, the arcade game, to show up on the NES. And it was just as fun as the arcade, despite being very 8-bit. One thing I liked about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series was that it was the only cartoon show I can remember that had continuity. Remember, Baxter Stockman became a fly and stayed that way. Shredder and Krang passed in and out of Dimension X. Side characters would appear now and then, and everyone grew as the series progressed. That is what helped me notice how the original mini-series and the arcade game are so intertwined. There were so many elements from those first 5 episodes that make the arcade game what it is. The connections start right away, before you even put in a coin. The Attract mode features the profiles of our 4 heroes, as well as April and Splinter. It reminds me of the scene in the first episode, where the characters are properly introduced. Included here is Donatello's love of machines, Michelangelo being a party dude, and something we might have missed, that Splinter loves sushi, while April and the boys do not. The first stage starts with April's kidnapping and getting out of a burning building. In the first episode, it's actually a flood, which happens after April is freed. But in here, we already see some of Shredder's inventions, the foot soldiers for one. They are robots after all. Supposedly, foot soldiers are in the NES version, but I don't see them. Are these foot soldiers? Something the arcade game added was that the foot soldiers were colored differently, depending on their abilities, with purple, the color they are in the series, as the default. A nice touch. Also here are the Roadkill Rodney robots that give the turtles a shock. These things show up early on, and are the ones who capture the animals that transform Bebop and Rocksteady, the latter of whom is the Stage 1 boss. It's never clearly explained what happens to these animals after mutation happens, but I've always wondered about it. The transport module, seen at the end of the stage, is a conveyance that the bad guys use to reach the surface from the Technodrome, quite often. Stage 2 is a little nondescript, featuring the streets of New York, a battle with Bebop, and then underground to the sewers. Underground, there's a lengthy battle against the Mousers, robots with super sharp teeth invented by Baxter Stockman. In episode 3, Shredder hires him to build these robots. Things go back above ground for a battle with both Bebop and Rocksteady. A little redundant, but these guys do fight our heroes more than once after all. While not a character per se, the Turtles come into possession of Baxter Stockman's van, repurpose it for themselves, and rechristen the vehicle as the Turtle Van, aka the Party Wagon. In the next stage, after defeating Baxter and wiping out the Mousers, the Turtle Van shows up. I guess Splinter was driving. He is seen riding around in the Party Wagon in the series. This is a really detailed plot progression that follows the more action-oriented sequences of the miniseries, mirrored step by step in the game. Continuing on that track, Splinter gets captured by the Foot Clan, which sets up Stage 4 in a battle with the Rock Soldier who came from Dimension X. He shows up in the 4th and 5th episode as part of the internal power struggle between Krang and Shredder. The battle makes its way inside the Technodrome for Stage 5, just like in the first season finale, where the Turtles and Shredder face off for the first time, and certainly not the last. The major plot point of the finale is the Retro Mutagen Ray Generator, which can reverse the effects of mutations, returning Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael back into normal turtles, as well as Splinter back into a human. The ray gun is Shredder's main weapon in the final battle, and one hit drains all energy. Then, spoiler alert, the good guys win, and the whole thing ends. The connections don't end there. There are all sorts of audio that come right from the show, the opening, naturally. But much of the in-game BGMs are chiptune renditions of the main theme, and capture the different moods of the game very well. Some dialogue is taken exactly from the show. Remember how Bebop and Rocksteady called the Turtles shell brains?
Gotcha, shell brain!
And Shredder's most chilling line made it through.
Tonight I dine on turtle soup.
The other lines aren't direct quotes, but still capture the tone that the show is known for.
Oh no, it's that overgrown corkscrew again.
Now, obviously not everything from the first season of the TV series made it into the game. The neutrinos from Dimension X are not here, nor is the turtle blimp. And Vernon? Well, forget it. But all of this serves as an example of how a video game based on a TV show or movie can be done right, one of the very few that ever did. I have to return back to the concept of continuity in the series because that was the hook that got me into the Turtles in the first place. If it was just a funny cartoon where the good guys fight the bad guys over and over, and the episodes were interchangeable, things wouldn't have been the same. The continuity carried on into the video game series, where Konami basically ignored that first NES game and followed the timeline of TMNT Arcade, intersecting events we saw on TV with elements in the games. In Fall of the Foot Clan from 1990, Baxter Stockman is seen in fly form after his transformation in the second season. Turtles in Time feature characters such as Leatherhead and the Killer Pizzas. There is one thing that may never be answered. How is it that Konami was given just these 5 episodes and was told, here, make a game out of this? Then Konami gave us 2 games at almost the same time, sure on different formats, but one of these was a masterpiece, and the other, clearly not. Whatever the reason, it was the right decision to create the arcade game and continue on from there. I always knew it, but I could never fully spell it out. It took time, some understanding, and a side-by-side comparison with a second screen to fully realize it.
So, who put the lights out?